Hi, I'm Robert Butler, COO and head trainer for HireWell Now. And today I'll be discussing the Insure survey and how to use this survey during the screening and interview process. The Insure survey measures four characteristics: integrity, attitudes towards substance abuse, reliability, and work ethic. So if your plan is to hire honest, drug-free employees who will show up on time and work hard, then the Insure survey can certainly help. So let's dive in and take a look at Pete Poor, one of our example applicants that we're trying to decide whether or not to hire. From the main menu, we'll click Review Applicant. Next, we'll click the Search button, which will bring up our entire list of applicants. And then we'll find Pete Poor and click the Review button. Now what we want to do to find the results to the Insure survey is go to the extended report. This way we can be sure that we'll see all the information derived from the survey. We'll need to scroll down past all of the Personality Plus survey information and so on and so forth until we come to the Section 1 report for the Insure survey. There we go. The Section 1 report reveals statements according to the answers that the applicant gave during the survey. Now, a time-saving feature of the Section 1 report is that if the survey deems any of these statements to be flagged, if you will, then they will be in all caps. So if there's something we really need to take a look at, you can bet that the information is going to be in all caps, like you see right here. So the survey noted that Pete estimates that all the values of all the things that he's stolen in his life is under $100. Well, good for him. And next you'll see that down here it says Pete Poor needs to improve in areas not listed in questions. Well, those are areas that we can probe a little bit deeper and find out more about why he answered that way. The next section gives you some verbal behavioral interview questions. And so according to the answers that Pete Poor gave, the survey is going to give us some relevant, legitimate questions that we need to ask in this process if we're going to continue to interview with Pete Poor here. And then finally, there's the Section 2 report. And this is really my favorite because it really gets down to the nitty-gritty of what Pete Poor answered and issues that really need to be brought out in the open according to how he answered questions on the survey. For instance, under the integrity section, it takes all four categories and lists out the individual questions that he answered according to those categories. Under the integrity section, he scored a 2, which is a pretty poor score. Well, we want to know why. And so the Section 2 report conveniently breaks out all those answers and explains why Pete Poor scored so low on integrity. Well, for instance, he feels that if he sees other employees stealing, it's best to keep his mouth shut and not tell his supervisor. Again, according to Pete Poor, there are good reasons to steal from others. Buying stolen goods doesn't make him a thief. It wouldn't bother Pete to work with other employees who were stealing from the company. Well, those are all questions that we need to probe deeper during the interview process and find out why Pete answered this way. And sometimes you'll see this one come up, according to Pete, there are good reasons to steal from others. Well, sometimes a person may say, well, yeah, I mean, if you've got a starving baby and you've been in a hurricane and everybody's left the town and all the stores are empty and there's no way of getting your baby food, and you see an open window that has some from a store that has some formula in it, well, grab it and take it and feed your baby and move on. And so that's one possible answer that may give you a certain opinion of that. And then on the other hand, you may say, well, yeah, I mean, finders keepers, losers weepers, right? So those are two totally different answers coming from the same question. So we want to be careful and not to really prejudge based on these answers, but they do give us a platform from which we need to dig a little bit deeper and find out more about the applicant. And then it comes to substance abuse. Pete Poor is uncertain if experimenting with drugs is okay when not taken to extremes. Well, that's something that I would ask Pete about. So tell me when it is okay, or tell me why you're not certain about that experimenting with drugs is okay. Well, maybe he might say something like, maybe you're thinking of experimenting a new heart drug. And yeah, that's okay as long as you don't take it to extremes. Well, that's one answer. And then on the other hand, well, somebody just tries a new drug and doesn't really become addicted to it, then they're fine. Well, that's a different answer, of course. So you can look there and you can see under reliability, another question that popped up. Working through his lunch break means he can go home early. Well, again, Pete might say, yeah, at my old job, if we worked through our lunch, it meant that we got to go home an hour early. It was just one of the benefits of doing that. And then again, he might say, well, my old job, my boss could not run a schedule very well, and so we were never covered right through our lunch hour, and I always had to work through my lunch, so yeah, by golly, I should be able to go home early. Well, again, a different answer, a different attitude altogether that you need to find out how he really feels about the subject. And then we finally come down to work ethic, and you can see another question brought up. Pete believes that most people probably are successful because they're lucky, not because they have skills to do a job. Well, that's just an inherent attitude that you want to ask him about. So he doesn't feel like if you just work hard and do what you're supposed to do in your job and excel at 110% all the time, then you should be promoted. But no, he feels like the only people that are on top are just because they're lucky. So, we want to find out more about that and why he feels that way. And I think that if you do that with every applicant, that you'll find you can really learn some very, very valuable and interesting information about them, beyond what normal interview questions you would ask. And so using the Insure survey to find out more about your applicant could be the difference between avoiding a hiring negligence lawsuit, losing profits to theft and embezzlement, or simply hiring someone that won't show up on time or cooperate with their boss. For more free tips on using the hiring suite by HireWellNow, go to hirewellnow.com. Thanks and have a great day.